Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. It is the 13th. Let me adjust the volume there. Today we've got CPI, and this is a really big number because a lot of people have been looking at inflation, consumer price inflation. This is the number to look at. So we got that in about 7 minutes. Let's go through the charts first. Boom, volume profile. So here in the E-mini, we again had a little bit of struggle yesterday, and it's kind of funny because it didn't really go down that much, but when it goes down, it sure seems dire, doesn't it? Yeah, well, anyways, we made a lower low than yesterday, but were able to recover and close the day basically where we were. So again, we were expecting a range-bound day and we got it. So now that we've got CPI, depending on the CPI news, this could like really explode. So here is the 10-year Treasury. The big thing in the 10-year Treasury, we had an auction and a bunch of people closed their shorts in the auction and we kind of rose. So quite significantly, really. And that is, I think, largely responsible for the S&P 500 being able to make its recovery. So here's where coming into the inflation data that we're about to get here, if that we're looking for month over month 0.4. So if it is higher than that, yeah, watch out. If it's higher than the expectation number, that could be really bad for equities, because if these interest rates are going to rise at all, it's just going to kill the indexes. The indexes will throw a huge fit. So really quick, going to the other ones. Oops. Over here. Oil's still doing pretty good. Another good solid update, and it seems like everybody is on board for it going to 60. Almost as much consensus as it was short the dollar over in oil. And gold not really going much of anywhere. Same with copper. And the big one, the dollar, running up into some resistance up in the 90.6 area, not able to gain new highs yesterday, and so quite a bit giving it up and it coming back down. We're still able to hold the 90 area, but a pullback could be a turn. It could be that is all the dollar strength we get. I don't know. And then the party continues, but I think it'd be way more interesting if the CPI was high. Interesting is maybe a generous word, right? Now, this is one where I think that we need to be really nuanced here, because that everybody's going to be looking at that number. So it's going to be really hard for us to pull any edge off of just the number itself. So we're going to need to open up the report and look at the constituent parts, right? All right, get the chat going there. Get you guys up. Open up Twitter. My lips are very chapped today. Oh boy. I should note something else that I'm looking at, that I'm seeing that I think what could affect markets. There is rumor that some members of Congress led people through the Capitol on what they were calling a reconnaissance mission before the riots. If this is true, they might have a really good reason to bar these people from serving in Congress. And if any of them are GOP senators, that's a big fucking deal, right? Okay, here we go. Okay, all of the numbers are coming in line. Core inflation rate year over year, 1.6, and month over month, spot 4. Core, spot 1 versus spot 1. The only one that's slightly different is inflation rate year over year in December, 1.4 versus 1.3. So the numbers being in line makes it difficult here. Let's see if I refresh over here, if I can get that. Yes, here we go. All right, so here is the report. Consumer price index for all urban consumers increased spot 4% in December on a seasonally adjusted basis after rising spot 2% in November. This seasonally adjusted increase in all the items index was driven by a 8.4% increase in the gasoline index, which accounted for more than 60% of the overall increase. Other components of the energy index were mixed, resulting in an increase of 4% for the month. The food index rose in December as both the food at home and the food away from home indexes increased spot 4%. The index for all items less food and energy increased spot 1% in December, after rising spot 2% in the previous month. So what are we getting? We getting energy is rising and food is rising, and the rest, everything else seems to not be really changing. Indexes for apparel, motor vehicle insurance, new vehicles, personal care and household furnishings and operations all rose in December. The indexes for used cars and trucks, recreation, medical care were among those to decline. Okay, so what we're getting is we are getting inflation in the areas, energy, particularly food, which is a place where you really don't want it, but it is not severe, and it was in line with expectations. The CPI is expected no tail left to puke out inflation lungs. Yeah. So because everybody got out of their shorts yesterday in the Treasury, well, you got a little bit of a spike up, actually, which I thought was interesting. But this is going to take time to sort out. I don't know if this automatically means buy the S&P 500, but they did do a pretty good run off of it. So let's start keeping an eye here on our treasuries. What are they doing? Okay. So trading standard volume at 13 and holding a pretty even price. So despite the little spike there, it looks like everything is going to be flatten out. Excuse me. Well, I don't know. So the index is not doing super great here in the overnight. So this move here just kind of ends up being a bit of a bounce. Let's see here. Shelter inflation 1.84% year over year, the lowest since November of 2011. And same with rent inflation. That's kind of interesting. Not what I would have expected. Not you. I don't know what you would have expected. FBI arrests man who allegedly threatened to kill Pelosi. She had been not in the public for the past 2 days. Maybe that's what that was all about. Okay, tick up. And the spoos seem to have evened up here. Zerohead says owner equivalent rent strikes again. According to VLS, housing inflation is at 10-year low, even as home prices surge 8%. I'm wondering if they're getting this thing again where, in the places that people are moving to, housing prices are increasing quite a lot. But in the country overall as a whole, they're not, because people are moving. Okay, so the Treasury's deciding to step up there 14.5 for a moment, but somebody taking it offer almost immediately at 14. That's curious. And now balance at 14. Well, I have to read that as bullish. I'm not sure that I get a hyper clear bias from the market makers here other than seeing those big 4Ks at 13.5 and 13. But those those could be not really all that important. I don't know. Okay, so Zero Hedge has a story here about this. Let's see. After significant signs of cost pressures, PMIs all signaling record or near record rising prices and commodity prices breaking out from multi-year downtrends, and analysts did expect a bump in CPI, but nothing overly concerning. The market is very relaxed about it, and we should get high inflation. That would be a big pressure. The 10-year is probably the key variable to watch. If you have a very strong positive surprise, then you probably start thinking about the Fed being a bit more aggressive in their intervention and pushing yields lower. Final print matched expectations. Blah, 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 blah. Silver lining of sorts is that shelter rent inflation is slowing dramatically. According to BLS, housing inflation is at 10-year low, even as home prices surge 8%, a 7-year high. Skype having issues, apparently. Well, how is oil reacting to this? Because oil's been the star lately, I feel. I've kind of been thinking like, oh, should I buy Chevron or... I did a bit of investigation, and it seems to me that the exploration guys are the ones that you would benefit the most here, so... Well, since the news, the dollar has declined a little bit. Matterhorn Asset Management says Biden is the unlucky one, as he is likely to be facing crisis after crisis, including monetary, fiscal, political, and social. But yeah, I think so. I mean... Okay, what's Li Jianzhao saying? The Xinjiang-related measures announced by the UK and Canada are based on nothing but lies and disinformation. Yada, 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 yada. They're erroneous. Decisions must be withdrawn. There are no camps. No 1 million Uyghurs detained. What a... Okay, yeah, like we have like the satellite images to prove it, you retard. But just it's so funny when the man, they all, who is this guy again? What is his name? Li Jian. I was told that you were like the smart propagandist guy, but now you're just turning into Baghdad Bob. Gosh. Okay, they took a new high. I was like, maybe I should take that 14. Well, you know what? This one would maybe be okay for level break setup, maybe? No, they're just going to pile in there anyways. We'll see. It wouldn't surprise me if they they pulled the rug out again and brought them back into that 14 area before really going later. AOC suggesting cops cooperated with the mob. There were those acts of heroism, but next to that, there was also acts of betrayal and to run in Capitol. in the nation's capital and not know if an officer is there to help you or harm you is also quite traumatizing. AOC, if you have to wonder as to whether or not the cops and security in the Capitol will actually protect you during an insurrection, you're doing something wrong. You're doing something wrong. Like, okay, if there's that many people out there that hate you that much, that's kind of like a warning that, like, you know, I was watching this TikTok the other day, and they were talking about military. They're saying, you know, like, as soon as you have to start implementing political tests in the military because you're concerned about what kind of like revolutionary might try and join the military, like, again, this is like a problem. Like, you've done something wrong if it's gotten to that point. As he says, propaganda has gotten lazy in the modern era. I guess, man. Like, like, really. Well, the pressure is still there, it looks like, but they're not just. And I mean, they did get a good amount going to 15.5. Don't get me wrong, but they're not just zooming through, are they? People are arguing about whether or not Donald Trump intended that crowd to attack the Capitol. Man. The crazy thing about that whole debacle is that in his speech he was like, go in peace and stuff like that. And then they're like, yank them on. Okay. Kind of looks to me like they're just looking for an excuse to make a political point, and that's just like the nearest weapon they can find. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Nancy Pelosi names Eric Swalwell as House impeachment manager? After all that shit with him dating a Chinese spy and all of that stuff, why would you put him in charge of anything, Nancy? Oy. Man, okay, I'm sorry. That one just boggles. That just blows my mind. You would think that Nancy would care. Apparently not. And it's not like he did a particularly great job with the last impeachment either. Oh my gosh. That thing with the Chinese spy, yeah, it turned out that he was like had an affair with a Chinese spy. And the thing that was like really wild about it was that the intelligence committee knew and like didn't do anything until it was leaked. U.S. Democrat House Majority Leader Hoyer, the House is planning to send the impeachment to the Senate. I'm wondering what's another thing that's kind of weird about this is like, it seems like it's taking them a long time, don't you think? So there's a 10K at 15.5 that causes them to downtick. So it's kind of like I was saying, it wouldn't surprise me if they dawdle around here a little bit longer and do the thing that I'm least expecting and then go up. They can just eat their stonks, right? Oh, okay. Okay, there's an uptick. Okay. Well, you see that one, only 500 lots to take 15 half. So that shows that those market makers are done at 15 half. That'll probably hold. Danielle Diaz, I spotted the National Guard sleeping in the hallways of the Capitol as I walked in this morning. Okay, so I did not realize that they still basically got everybody deployed out there in DC. I would assume that it'll be like that until after Biden's inauguration. Euro USD rally fails on break of 100-hour moving average. Okay. Well, so I was saying that the dollar was going down after the CPI, but then the euro started getting killed here, and it kind of whipped back pretty hard. I was in National Guard for 6 years. They don't provide us places to sleep. Yet, I bet. Did hurricane work in 04 and slept in the field? Oh, yeah. That's funny that they don't even, well, I mean, it'd be expensive, huh? Are they going to be having them, out there for like freaking all week? Jeez. I don't know. Everybody's, when you go and you look in the media, and I have to say that the media is like really working overtime on this story for whatever reason. I'm not implying some like conspiracy or anything, but it's just there's like, if you go on Hulu, you can go and watch Attack on the Capitol. Like they already have like specials that you can watch streaming about it. Like, wow, okay. And they're all concerned about some sort of an insurrection happening around Biden's inauguration or something like that. And I don't think so. I don't think that it'll go like that. I think that if you're going to see something happen, then what it will be is like kind of a slow churn. It'll be like Texas will vote to exit or something like that, They'll go through those kinds of what is the word, avenues, I guess. They go through those avenues. They'll wait for the Democrats to pass laws in Congress that are really unacceptable. Like this supposed domestic terrorism bill might be the one. That could be something that would really upset people if they feel like their rights are being taken away. And then you would get something. And it would be like so much worse, right? Because like what happened to the Capitol was really like a bunch of boomers just being dumb. You know, like if they were really trying to overthrow the government, they would have just bum rushed the guards and killed a bunch of guards and people would have died, you know? I noticed that and ignored it, yeah. I don't understand why the authorities caught people who stormed the Capitol. I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, they've got like security cameras and stuff everywhere, so pretty much everyone that went into the Capitol and did something bad is going to be held accountable. I mean, it's just protesting, right? I guess. I mean, here's the thing: people should be prosecuted for the crimes that they committed. So if you entered the Capitol illegally, then you should be charged for trespassing, whatever it is. If you vandalized inside of the Capitol, you should be held responsible for vandalism. If you were conspiring to carry out violence with people online and they can prove that, then you should be charged for the crimes that involve that. I get a lot of stuff where people are like, oh, if you were just there, you should have your ability to fly taken away and put on the terrorist watch list. And no. Because those people didn't. You just stayed outside and you were there. You didn't commit a crime, right? So certainly people should be prosecuted for the crimes that they committed. But I don't know. Like, it's funny to me that we really got into this situation because of politicians playing politics. All right. They will come out and they will tell us one thing, and then they'll get in Congress and they'll just do whatever the large corporations tell them to do. And that's how you got Donald Trump in the first place. Because at the very least, Donald Trump had the right idea and the right policy, which was America first. We're going to help average Americans and we're going to stop letting global corporations control everything. So here you get Donald Trump. And then you have Donald Trump, and what happens? They play every tiny little political game that they can with his administration. So even when he was doing something that was good, there was all of these games. And you had all of these Republicans being like, pretending to be on Donald Trump's side, but clearly they never really were on board with the policy or any of that, right? So when you get to that point, what do you think people are going to do? Like, they think that the whole system is corrupt against them, that, they were well past the point at which they felt that voting does something. And now after the way that all this went down, now they for sure don't feel like voting does anything, right? But then it's like the thing that makes my head hurt is that they're still playing the politics. It's like, yes, we know Donald Trump will be out of office before we're even allowed to do it, but we need to impeach him and hold him accountable for telling the crowd to be violent, even though in the speech he said, go in peace and all of this, right? So it's just like, how can you, and the reports that we're getting last night was that Mitch McConnell was like happy about it and that he might vote yes, and that if he votes yes, that they will have enough to impeach and remove Donald Trump from office. What makes you think that anybody is going to vote for the Republican Party after that? If you do that, I just can't imagine there are still a lot of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the most popular GOP politician like ever. Okay. See, I think people on the other side misunderstand. It isn't necessarily about Trump. It's the different standards, narratives, and lies. Well, sure. I mean, here's the thing. From my perspective, I think that Donald Trump made a series of significant missteps. Okay. Like, that's where I keep saying that it's like, at the beginning of his term, he made a lot of really brilliant political, masterful political moves, and he won on certain things and got certain stuff passed and did well. And as time went on, you would see people leave from the administration and stuff like that. Or you saw a lot of these instances where they ended up with people in the administration that were never in line with his agenda, right? And over the past, especially since the coronavirus thing, it's been like bad decision after bad decision. He just refused to change his messaging on coronavirus, for instance. That was the big one. Like, that's what really killed his campaign. And then after that, they decide to push the election was stolen thing, which, I mean, it's fair. If you think that there's cases of fraud, and I think that you should investigate and push it for the fraud as far as you can. But then he also pursued this thing, which was like, we're going to get the vice president to decertify the election result, and that's how we're going to stay in office. And everybody on the Donald Trump supporters side was like full all in on that. And that was really the true mistake here, right? Was setting up that expectation, because then when it didn't happen, these people just flipping out and putting it all on Pence. Like, that's the other thing is, to me, Mike Pence is like the one guy in all of this that I still trust. But if you go on the Donald Trump forums, they think he's a traitor. They're like, he was just a traitor from the get-go. He was never make America great again. He was just sitting there waiting for the perfect opportunity to undermine Trump and yada, yada, yada. Right? So, yeah, you go through all of that. The voters don't care. Like the Donald Trump supporters, they may or may not realize that Donald Trump has made significant mistakes, but they don't care. That it doesn't even like show up on the radar. What is the thing that they're focused on? It's like what Uzi said. If Donald Trump has a political rally and says go in peace, and then people go and riot in the Capitol, it's like the end of the nation and this huge big effing deal. But when Democrat politicians say this sort of stuff, or, just Democrats in general, I think that the worst example here was that during the BLM, Colin Kaepernick basically calling for revolution and more violence on Twitter, and that nobody took him off Twitter. Nobody did anything. They gave him money, right? That was probably the worst one. And Ocasio-Cortez and all those Democrats, they say all sorts of violent stuff all the time, right? And Donald Trump is the one that takes the hit, Yeah, and it's pretty hard for them to see beyond this, especially when, what do they see? Their own party helping in this effort to undermine the president in a way that they believe is unfair. So it really, what's the end result? Like, where does it matter to us? The Republican Party is dead. It is dead. I read this story from the New York Times about Mitch McConnell saying that he could vote yes and all of this sort of stuff. Like, what is going through his head? Does he really think that, like, okay, well, 2022 will probably be a disaster for us because the map is so bad, and then everybody will forget in 4 years and they'll start voting Republican again and we'll all be fine? No. It's not going to happen, man. Mitch, if you're out there, listen, you're fucked. Not even you will be able to win an election after all of that. Can you imagine that? A Democrat winning in Kentucky? Yeah, it could happen because you're talking about like 20 to 50% of your base is just going to literally stop voting. Period. You might as, yeah, exactly. Uzi's exactly right. You might as well register as a Democrat right now. Like, because they're not going to vote for you, man. Try not to reach it too much, okay? No one with a conscience or soul could find a way to validate these events. No, I mean, here's the thing. Let's just go to the impeachment itself and the merits or lack thereof, okay? A legal definition: you are not allowed to incite a riot. Inciting a riot is a crime, okay? There are a bunch of like legal cases on this that have been to the Supreme Court before and litmus tests to determine whether somebody has incited a riot or not, right? And the general gist of it is that they have to be inciting, meaning like encouraging and telling them to commit an imminent lawless action in order for it to qualify. So in order for this to be an actual crime that you would get a prosecution in a regular U.S. court for, you have to have been saying, I want you to go down to the Capitol and tear down the walls and kill all of the politicians inside of it. Okay? Like, that is the legal standard that you would have to meet. Okay? And that they're running off of. They don't have it. In fact, the facts of the case are exactly the opposite. In the speech, Donald Trump said, go in peace. He's like specifically told them not to go and do anything crazy. I mean, at that point, they're all there, and I don't know what they all expected to happen. I don't know what he expected to have happen, because it is kind of like, why would you tell everybody to come down there unless you were planning on doing something crazy if you didn't get your way? But I don't think that he thought that, and clearly from the words of his speech, at least, is any indication, he didn't plan for that to happen. Okay, so the facts of the case simply do not support this he incited a riot situation. Okay, so then you go back to this. Here's point number 2. They can't impeach him until after he's been out of office anyways. And there's a question as to whether or not it's like even constitutional to impeach a president after he's been in office. Like, that one kind of doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But that's what they're going to try and do. Okay. But like, the whole thing is like, oh, the world is sick of Trump. Oh, okay. If probably the majority of Americans want him out of office at this point, sure. Okay. But he's going to be gone either way. He's going to be gone either way. And so here's the thing, is that if you have Republican policymakers that go out of their way to, you know, attack Donald Trump after he's already basically out of office, okay? And then you have to consider that you still have a good 20% of the Republican Party, if not more, that still support him. In fact, some of these numbers coming from like, you know, the presidential approval ratings show him still having record high approval ratings. Okay, so like, not everybody feels that way, and they're doing something that's basically going to signal to these voters, okay, I'm never voting a Republican the rest of my life. Right? So then you go and you read the arguments happening amongst the people in the MAGA crowd on these issues. And what do they say? Oh, well, I'm not going to vote Republican anymore. And this guy, and then somebody come in and be like, okay, well, then you're just going to give the Democrats absolute power. And what's the response? They already have it. And they're right. Democrats could probably pass just about anything that they wanted. The only thing is that they can't pass this crazy socialist nonsense because the corporations don't want that. Okay? But anything that the corporations want, Democrats are going to pass it. Period. End of story. There's nothing you can do to stop them. So they have a majority in both houses. And if they don't do it this year, like if they don't go and nuke the filibuster and Republicans still filibuster everything, okay, that's fine. The Senate map for the GOP in 2022 is awful. Like best case scenario, in a best case scenario for the GOP, the current balance stays the same. And in a worst case scenario, the Democrats have like a 70% majority in Congress, okay? Like, it's really bad. So if they don't do it now, they'll just do it in 2 years. Right? So that whole like, oh, you got to do it to stop the Democrats, like that boat already sailed, man. Right? And they all realize it. Like, there's still a couple of people in denial, but all these people on the forums and online and stuff, like, they realize it, right? So the end result is right now, already, we are in a one-party country right now. We live in a one-party country right now. The Republican Party literally might as well not exist. And it will probably only get worse. And if they really do successfully impeach Donald Trump, then it will be even more a Democrat country. Right? And I can't stop thinking about it. Because I just can't, for the life of me, imagine what the politicians that are sitting down and saying, oh yeah, I think that I really want to impeach the leader of my own party, as like what they think is going to happen, because they're making themselves irrelevant, you know? Yeah, there you go. Cat Turd finally coming out with the thing about Sawwell. We live in a country where a congressman can bang a Chinese spy and fart like a pregnant kangaroo eating strawberry cheesecake on live TV and get promoted to impeachment manager. Okay. 16.5's still being pretty even. Like there was a little bit of like stop outs and people flooding up into 17.5, but it looks like 16.5 is the area where they kind of are agreed. I don't know. I'm kind of looking at this. I don't think that anything is going to happen in the indexes for until they open. The CPI number was definitely like a really big number, but it all was in line. I mean, I guess, yeah, the E-mini moved up 10 handles, but so I'm kind of wondering if we're going to have another hyper tight day. Hoyer says we won't wait and will pass impeachment proceedings for the Senate as soon as possible. Intel is up today on CEO resignation. That's interesting. Can I opine on the Intel thing? The issue with Intel isn't that they don't make a good product. The issue with Intel is that AMD made a better product, and Intel wasted so much time for all of these years creating a product that was less than they could have made, and essentially destroyed any goodwill that they might have had amongst consumers. So even if you get like a new CEO in there and everything else like that, I think that the future looks bad for Intel and for quite some time. And I think that you're going to get a situation kind of similar to the AMD situation. Like, Intel is not going to be worth very much, and it will get to a point where you get like really good risk reward on it, and then eventually they'll build up a new technology that's better than the AMD, and they'll take it by storm, and Intel will be the new AMD and vice versa. Oh, now we're going to tweet about every Capitol Hill rioter that gets arrested. Yeah, sure. AMD going to market cap Intel. Is that... how close are they? That's definitely a possibility. Intel back to pre-crash levels. It's really moving today, apparently. I guess I'm saying that if I still owned stock in Intel, that I would be using what appears to be the beginning of a bull run for Intel in the short term. I would be using it to get out. The thing that you gotta understand about semiconductor stuff, like here's the thing that I understand about semiconductors that I don't think is widespread knowledge. Okay, the way that this works is like when you build a semiconductor facility, like in the beginning, really what you're doing is you're building like this huge warehouse with vacuum everywhere, so that you can pull any kind of dust out. There can't be any dust in the facility. Okay, and that's it. You think, oh yeah, it's like building all of the things to build the semiconductors and stuff in there, but that stuff has to be flexible, because it's not like it's just this line. I think people think in their minds it's this line, and the processor just goes down through this line and goes from one place to another place. This is not the way that it works. There's stations. There will be a room that does this photo process. There'll be a room that does this process. There's a room that'll do this acid etching process, and they'll do the process, and then they'll put the wafers on a cart, and that somebody will by hand cart it to the next station that it's supposed to do in the process. And they're making a bunch of different types of processors and things like that. So you've got processors going all over the place to the different parts of the facility. So when you're making a new processor, a big part of the process is changing up those rooms. You know, like there's some new process that you have to do to be able to do that new processor. The biggest change being the size of the wafer, right? Like whether it's an 8 nanometer or 10 nanometer or whatever it is, right? And so to move to a new nanometer process is like overhauling every room in the facility. Right? So even if you get like a new CEO in there and things like that, the things that are required to get the new technology that would be better than the AMD stuff, we're talking about like a decade's worth of work, right? And what Intel has done is they've sat on their haunches for so long that now that they're behind, it will be so difficult for them to catch up. Let's go long. Yeah, I agree, but I think that the opportunity to go long was like a long time ago, Ace. like probably if we were really going to do this, we should have done it like oh man. You're not really get a good spot, to be honest. There's the news. The best place that we could have maybe have done it is maybe when it came back at 86 and a quarter, right? But now that we're like 10 minutes ahead of the open. Plus the rotation here doesn't look favorable at the moment. Looks like we already kind of missed one. I guess House is debating Trump impeachment. That's funny. I also kind of wonder, like, yeah, the inflation data was in line, and I guess that's good, and I believe that's why the E-mini is moving up, but I think that it still overall kind of keeps the status quo, so I'm not entirely sure that there is a, I think we're still in a situation where there's not a lot of reason for the indexes to be moving, and it'll be tight, and we have to be really selective about where we take our trades, right? I'm gonna try blowing my nose here. No, I think that what Ace needs to do is he just needs to wake up on time and be here for the 6:30 news. That's all. Early bird gets the worm. That was cuddle. No, cuddle time is 8. Cuddle time is before you go to sleep, my friend. Okay, that's fine. Oh man, I hope you can't hear my nose, my sinus equalizing there. Okay, I think I fixed it. You need to get on the nose breathing routines. I mean, I'm breathing through my nose, right? If I look like I'm spending a lot of time breathing through my mouth, then yeah, I definitely need to stop doing that because I've fixed the nose. Should be nose reason for that. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. I think there's still some pressure that needs to equalize on my sinus, but I'm sorry you don't want to hear about that, but Rabobank, the Republican Party is headed for a Brexit-style civil war. I'm not sure what they mean by that. So I don't think that what is about to happen in the Republican Party has any real comparison. The closest thing that you can probably compare it to is the way that the Whig Party fell apart. You know? There you go. Great diplomat Talleyrand summed it up best. It was worse than a crime. It was a mistake. That is probably the best quote that I have heard about this whole situation. It was a huge unforced error. 100%. Let's see if 100 million cases of COVID by March. Yeah, there's already been 100 million cases. The funny thing here, it's not funny, but by the time that the vaccine is available to everyone, probably almost everybody will have caught it. Like, I think we're getting to that point. Maybe I just feel like that because I had it, but politics has become mainstream. Well, so I have to wonder, I'm reading this Zero Hedge article. A lot of it is not what we're interested in. It's like a long article, so I can't bore you with all of it. But in here, they're talking about the Trump administration's policy changes towards China and talking about whether or not Biden will change that and stuff. The headline, it is a clickbait headline because that's not anything, it has nothing to do with the coming civil war in the Republican Party. I tell you what, though, if Joe Biden does come in and start doing things that are extremely favorable to China, particularly on the area of trade, and just completely unwinding everything that the Trump administration has done, especially with all this noise going on between Australia and China. So if he were to leave Australia high and dry in particular is the one that I'd be really worried about. Yeah, there's going to be hell to pay for it, for sure, because there is a large enough interest in the United States that is now concerned about China that I don't think that you can get away with the kind of crap that people have been getting away with for the past 10, 20 years. Even though, in the Republican Party, it is such a disaster that Democrats will probably have complete control. But what you're going to start seeing is that just watch, because I don't think Joe Biden's going to run for a second term. So watch what Democrats are saying in 2024. I think that the anti-China rhetoric will be a lot more common, and because Donald Trump won't be around, they'll be allowed to say what they really believe. And I think that a lot of more people have turned against China than people realize at this moment, right? Second term, talk about second month. Nah, I don't think he's going to run for a second term. Be careful, Seth, right-wing opinions. I mean, I should be careful. YouTube could pick up on anything, but I'm not. That's why guys, no, you don't understand. There's no right-wing opinions anymore. The Republican Party is dead. We're all Democrats now. He'd be the greatest hero of all time if he resigned. Nah, it's not. He is going to be president for 4 years. He's going to basically let his advisors run everything, and then he's going to be done with it because he's too old. If he even lasts the whole 40 years. And then it will be somebody else. And the Republicans will probably put up a sacrificial lamb. I actually think that the Republicans could go with a MAGA-style candidate again, like Ted Cruz. But they will only allow it to happen because they know they're going to lose anyways, right? What's the company you said did better than Intel? AMD. Oh, you took it long there? Well, I'm going to avoid the open here. It sure does seem that the market is biased towards the long side here, though, for sure, doesn't it? The only issue is when you get back up to 38, so go further than that. No, I'm just going to wait for the rotation to be favorable. Yeah. I mean, there's enough buying there on the open. I think that buying it here would be okay. Certainly if you cut it anywhere below the open. You caught the good trade. Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is that I think I missed a good entry. Oh, you know what? I don't have my robots on. That would help. Shit. And I bet that Joseph would be long. Oh, that sucks. Oh well. I need to do something to make sure I remember to turn that on, man. Intel ticked $60 for the first time since July 23rd, 2020. Up 12% over the CEO resigning. That's funny. You know, there's another thing you got to keep in mind with Intel here is that Intel is the large tick poster boy, or it was. Like all of the academic studies that I've seen done on order flow, they always want to talk about the differences between a large tick and a small tick stock, which is basically like what's the difference between the 10-year treasury and gold, you know? And you know, so to have Intel up, a large tick stock up 16% is like mind blowing. Right? Okay. So they're kind of doing this ascending triangle thing, right? Well, if the interest rates continue running like this, I think that we could have a really positive day in the equities. Okay. I thought that might happen. Hmm. Fed's bullard, the dollar status dimmed by recent events in DC. Anyone watching soy and corn? It's been on. Well, I mean, pretty much every commodity has been on the rise, right? Oil, it seems to be the one that's doing the best, but this morning oil is getting creamed for some reason. Since about 45, 8:45 Eastern time. Everyone he sucks my back hurts, so better go to a chiropractor, I guess. I should go to a chiropractor. Well, actually, I've been doing pretty good lately, but I'm sure when I really start working out again, I'm sure that it'll get really screwed up easily. Tim Cook on Parlor. All we're asking for, Gail, is that he meets the terms of service. Okay. Well, they've tried multiple times there, but it's still just kind of chilling, if not slightly down. The Treasury's still chilling at its highs. Look, 56 traded at 17.5. Apparently, they're going to send the impeachment articles over to the Senate immediately. Dang. Well, that volume came back out pretty hard. Okay, so they haven't like aggressively hit into like new lows yet, but the thing that I'm noticing is that they came very much short of what like the immediate upside targets on an opening drive would be, which is a little concerning to me. I still think that things are probably tilted to the long side, but that last down move did not look good, right? Still, the treasuries are kind of, they're pushing up, and if the E-mini were to turn down, I think that they would even go down harder. So, sorry, that if the E-mini were to turn down, the treasuries would just push up harder. So, I think that really kind of puts a floor underneath of us, right? Should note though, the oil is taking a big hit for some reason. Didn't see any news. Oil volatility smoked as Goldilocks narrative prevails as the market ear. Watch the gaming sector. They are getting a new normal bid. Yeah, I think that the gaming sector probably is a good sector overall. The issue with the gaming sector is picking a good company over there, man. They're all shit. They're all awful companies, man. That's one where maybe I might play it on a short-term play, but I don't want to own those companies for long-term plays. Are you waiting for a big bear market in stocks? Well, I've definitely been cautious. Man, well, it's not cooperating with me today, is it? I guess we'll get stopped out of this one and we'll see if it bounces back up again or not. It kind of seems like that I'll hold on and then it'll go up, you know? So even though it's a negative, they're being really super tepid about this low. And there's actually a significant amount of absorption down at the bottom, right? There's actually enough you could potentially just buy it off of that. I'll try it. We. Okay. Well, that one went a lot better, didn't it? I'll pull this over here and see kind of where I gotta look at. Oh, okay. Sorry, Hydra. I just haven't been paying attention over here yet. Amazon and Facebook already reached peak potential in users and they can only lose from here. I'm not sure I agree with you on Amazon. And I think that if that's the play that you want to make, that the better play would be Twitter, not Facebook. Right? That's just my own inkling. I don't think that could be construed as enough of a financial analysis to make a trade on it, right? But I'm like hyper involved in social media. I always loved that sort of stuff. And the one that I see as weak is Twitter. And the next one after that is Instagram, which I guess is owned by Facebook. So, but Instagram has some problems. Let's say it's like way too complicated to build a following and get anything done on Instagram. Feds Bullard is speaking right now, by the way. Technicals are, well, I wouldn't pay too much attention to the technicals. Look at butt models on Instagram, tons of followers. Well, just do this, Gary. Start an Instagram account in some niche topic and try and build it up and see how far you get with it. It's like the whole thing about like which hashtag to use and content to post, and there's even these things where like if you're too active on it, they'll ban you because they think you're a bot. Like it's really complicated. And that's what people on TikTok complain about all the time. There's so many creators that used to be primarily doing stuff on Instagram, and they moved over to TikTok just because it was so much easier to get things done. So, but Facebook itself is probably one of the stronger positioned social networks. But really, TikTok has taken over everything. TikTok's taking over, and I think that what you're going to see in the next iterations of social media is even stronger. I mean, it's already like this, but it's going to be even stronger in terms of everybody's a creator now. So, networks like Twitter that are really more about following the really big accounts for like breaking news and stuff, people aren't going to be very interested in that. The thing is, Amazon is trying to build a monopoly. Competitors are popping up, which will lead to them. Well, so the issue with Amazon is they still have growth areas, right? So, for instance, there's this whole thing with them starting doing medications, right? That's a big business that could provide double-digit growth for them for years to come, right? And there's plenty of other areas of the market that they could still expand to. So even though it sure does look like Amazon is up a lot, right? I'm at the moment, just on a short-term tactical basis, I'm not particularly excited by large tech companies. I know that there are some people that like they've just made their whole thing on buying Apple and Google and Amazon during this whole move, right? But in the short term, I don't think that the fundamentals look good to the tech companies. Interest rates are going to continue rising, and that is one of the biggest reasons why they've moved up as far as they have. So just that alone means that they're not going to grow as fast as they were. And then you've got all of this political risk too, because I think that, you know, they say that Republicans are the ones that don't like big tech. But the reality is that the Democrat base hates big tech too. And the Democrats would be speaking very, very, they would just be trashing big tech right now if it wasn't for Donald Trump and having to, you know, say the opposite of whatever Republicans are saying. So when that goes away, yeah, there's just going to be more room for the Democrats to attack big tech and increase taxes on them and regulations on them and so forth. So, and you're already getting that in Europe, right? Europe is already doing stuff. So I'm not, even though I bet you they probably continue going up, because I mean, like, just the momentum and the way the market is just kind of like, it's just going to be like that, right? But it seems to me like big tech is no longer the place to be. Yeah, and I don't know I mean, I guess I know about some individual companies, but I really don't know enough about the individual stocks to really be saying a whole lot about it. Fair enough. 230 will not get changed to once a wager. Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. But what I would expect to see more of it would just be changes to the tax law that makes it so that Amazon can't get away with not paying any taxes. You know, like that's the biggest one. The Democrats are going to come in and change the tax law. Like, it's going to happen. They don't have to overcome a filibuster or anything like that. They can just use the reconciliation process to pass the law. They're going to pass a law, and it's going to increase taxes on Amazon. Just accept it now, you know? But 230, probably not. But that's where, again, it's kind of like, it's not like the Democrats don't think that big tech's control over the narrative is a positive thing. They're just saying stuff that they don't really believe right now to be contrary to Donald Trump. You say Amazon will not worry about taxes, they have lobbyists. I don't think that they'll lobby against it even. I mean, just because they're going to have to pay taxes, it doesn't mean that it would have to be like a super significant hit to their bottom line, you know? But it's going to happen. They will just pass. I would wager yes. I'll bet you $50 that Democrats will raise taxes on Amazon. Before 2022. Got to put a time thing on it, right? Before 2022, Democrats will raise taxes on Amazon. It might not be much. There'll probably be a bunch of loopholes. Like, here's the issue: is that it's going to be like, it's going to be so much more complicated, right? Because there will be like, they will increase the rate on them overall, but there might be additional loopholes opened or anything. How much of a raise? Oh, I don't know. That's probably too hard. We're probably talking. The more that I think about it, the more I'm thinking that it wouldn't be the kind of an issue that would really make a very effective or fair bet, would it? Because whatever is going to happen is going to be like, this is one of those things where like we could sit down and say, yeah, Amazon will have its taxes raised, but that's probably not going to be the thing that ends up mattering. There's probably going to be some really nuanced, small-time change that they make to the taxes that ends up mattering to the economy more, and we're all focused on this, and that's like not even where the story's at. You know what I mean? Yeah. You have to specify the bet to the point where you have to lose? No, because then it's like, they have to raise it by so much. No. It would have to be like if they do anything to... And that's where it's like, it could just the other thing is that it will probably be more of a messaging thing than anything, right? Like, it might not be a change that makes a significant difference to Amazon's bottom line, but they will definitely use it to be like, see, look, we're taking on these big companies. We're taking on Jeff Bezos, because Jeff Bezos is a huge villain in the Democrat Party right now. Which is really quite funny, right? Because the Democrat Party has been helping the large corporations more. Yeah, it's probably not even a good bet for us, is it? But we can just watch it, right? But I think that they will raise taxes on them. There's just this whole thing like, There's definitely a problem in America where large corporations have so much power compared to the everyday person. That doesn't mean that the everyday person becomes irrelevant. And there are certainly situations where we can kind of game it out and you can determine where the interests of the own political party's ideology and the interests of the public at large overwhelm what the large corporation wants. And I believe that Amazon is one of those situations. So much so that not only will Congress raise taxes on Amazon, but that the CEO of Amazon will support it. You know? Don't make bets with people. I would still take the puts on freaking Bitcoin, man. Like with Bitcoin, I feel like the well, actually, so where are they right now, by the way? Well, I'm thinking about it. 3,500 still. You're no longer and you're frustrated by it? Well, I'm a little perturbed that they're still hanging out by the open. But I was able to play the range and build up some profit, so I can probably just like relax. Oh man. PLTR got downgraded. And Wall Street Bets is not happy about it, apparently. Anyways, on the Bitcoin thing, the risk for Bitcoin going into this weekend is high enough that I would be willing to put $500 on puts on it. But I don't have a way to do that. So I'm just kind of sitting and watching. And that doesn't mean that it's like guaranteed to happen. I just think that your risk reward off of that is really good. Now, I kind of wonder now, I saw the weekend move down and I was expecting that maybe that was manipulation and that they would move back up. But now it's Wednesday and it hasn't happened, you know? And I was kind of thinking Thursday, Friday, people will try and bail ahead of it. So, Dang. Well, that was way too slow. That's okay. I still made money on that trade, but it was very disappointing. $9K offering G and holding. Yeah. That's one of those things, though, where it might just kind of chill there forever and then pull it and it goes later, you know? Especially if the E-mini is really going to turn down. Like, if the E-mini decides to retrace this whole move, because that turned down, it was definitely ugly, right? You tried trading ES the first time in 3 years and it's too tough to get that thing to move. Well, it's because you missed you missed the time where it's going to move the most ever, and now you're coming back in at the time where it's turned back into it's never going to go anywhere. You just timed that all wrong, man. Well, that's weird. I got out of that trade, but my DOM didn't like reset. Let's see if I can fix it here. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, cool. Stick to what you know. Oh, man. Well, the good news is that while volume is going to be much more consolidated, or sorry, price action is going to be much more consolidation going into the future, and that'll make the NASDAQ actually tradable, right? Oh, I can laugh about it because it's happened to me so many freaking times before, right? As you're waiting for the perfect opportunity to start getting into a particular market, and then when you see the opportunity and you decide, okay, I think that it would be worth it for me to trade this market now, and then that just fortuitously ends up being the worst time to start trading it. It always works that way, doesn't it? Wow, okay, so there's another move down. Now here's some pivots. I'm still a little conflicted about this down move because I'm not seeing direct news that says we should be moving down. But I definitely do see like all of that movement up above now really sure looks like failure. So if we're moving down just off of technical rejection, I'm not sure how anxious I should really be to jump on it, you know? I can't believe that Ace turned around and flipped short on that quickly. What's your feelings on NQ? Why do you like it over ES? Well, I don't know what he's going to say, but here's the thing that I will say about NQ. NQ is a small tick stock that moves a lot. A lot of people like that because they can get in and out and take, especially if they're doing something where they take on more risk than they make on the average trade, right? And so whenever I hear people, they want to trade NQ, I'm immediately thinking, okay, but do you have an actual edge that makes the way that you trade work well in NQ? Or is it because of risk arbitrage? Right? Because the issue is that if you don't have a really solid edge in NQ, it will eventually just rip you apart. And believe me when I say that I have seen more blown accounts on NQ than anything else. It's not even close. Trade the moves for a scalp to scalp. Like, yeah, like that's the thing is like you're talking about something where like you could go and I've seen people go into NQ and are literally just taking like 4 ticks or whatever. And you're talking about something where like just the slippage alone could be 4 ticks, you know? There you go. When I trade YM or ES, I feel like a strategist. When I trade NQ, I feel like a gambler. Yeah. I just, like, if you feel like that the ES is too slow, then you need to go and trade the 10-year Treasury futures for a month or two. And but that's where it's like, if the amount that it moves and rotates around matters so much, that almost always ends up being advantageous to a strategy where you're taking a teeny tiny little profit over and over again, which means that you're taking on more risk than you have a reward factor less than 1. Well, you guys want to work for what I do every time I try to get. I'm almost positive that your reward factor is less than 1, isn't it? The average winner compared to the average loser is a ratio less than 1. Well, that was a pretty good move up there. 92. Oh, jeez. I let myself get a little distracted there. I should have had that all like ready to just buy it at the open. I am 74% for a profit factor of 2.5 on my trades. No, that's not. Oops. Well, that's not what I wanted at all. Wow, how did that end up being? Oh, jeez. That should not have happened. Like, on your trades today is, I guess, not really what I'm asking, but if you take over the past month the size, how much money you make on your average winner, and divide it by how much you lose on your average loser, what is that ratio? Average winner divided by average loser for the past month. Because I guarantee you're not getting 2.5 and a win rate of 74% over the past month. I'm just like thinking this through, and I'm like, oh, I did it again, right? I FOMO'd into it and bought it at exactly the wrong spot. Not your initial risk, your average winner. Depending on the month. I don't know, man. Like, let me just tell you what your average winner divided by your average loser is probably the most important performance metric that you can possibly look at. And I'm a little concerned that you don't know what this is off the top of your head, what it tends to be. All right. Oh, geez. Oh, I see what's going on here. You don't actually know. That is so fucked up, dude. How do you not know what your average winner to your average loser is? No, you're hedging because you know exactly what I'm going to say and you know it's going to make you look bad and that's why you don't want to say it. Stop shitting us, dude. Average winner for the past month, average winner divided by average loser, what is it? It makes me so mad when people do this kind of shit. It's like, it's a really simple question. Oh, come on. There we go. So I wouldn't normally have done that, but I had like misclicked and stuff. It's
Block cell.
Block block cell, 19 half 4,697 watts. And they stack 4K on top of it too. Almost 5. He hasn't responded yet, so that just means he got scared off. Ohio researchers say they've identified 2 new COVID strains likely originating in the U.S. From a CNBC article. Yeah, I'm sure that you guys are going to find a new strain every frickin' day. That's kind of how this stuff works. Base says target 97. Since when do you give targets? I just wanted to up my game. Okay. How did you determine that number then? That was just based off of P&L? Okay. So first of all, just you have to understand that people will come into chat all the time and try to either promote themselves or just they overall think that they know more than they really do, and they will tell people stuff that is really deceptive. So when people start getting into performance things and people start saying things that I know don't really match up very well, I just start to get a little upset. So I will show you here. If we come in to, well, let's see here. I have to pull open my own stats here, right? I took the average of traders in the room, divided the moon phase, and added in a pinch of salt. Well, if it was based on more than just your P&L, then I'm interested in what your target is. But wait, what? Oh, that's right. Yeah, because of this whole nonsense. Blah blah blah. Okay, so my stats that I'm going to show you here aren't really going to make a lot of sense. I just want to be clear. I've been trading this on a sim account. This is the sim account, and I've done some weird things with it, right? So here, average adverse excursion, average favorable excursion, and it's 10. So on average, I make 10 ticks, and on average, I lose 10 ticks, and on average, I win 11 ticks. So that gives me an overall profit factor of like 1.1% or something like that, right? Now, in these cases, it's not fair because I'm like trading multiple contracts and doing all sorts of funky shit that I probably normally wouldn't do, but okay. Another way of looking at it would be like I come over here into this one. And we'll do India. Okay. Here's one of the algorithms that we've been running. And here in NinjaTrader it tells you the average winning trade, $462. The average losing trade, $274. And it's a little bit different on longs and shorts and everything, but the ratio of your average win to your average loss, which is what I call the reward factor, ends up being 1.68. Right? So that's what I'm asking. So one way that you could just really quickly guesstimate what this should be is you probably have some sort of profit taking thing set up, right? Where like as soon as you enter the trade, there's a stop loss and a target automatically set, right? And so then it's going to be like, here's, is your target closer than your average loser? Or is your target closer than your stop? Then you have a reward ratio of less than 1. Forever California says, okay, yes, I am under 1. How far under 1? Are you under 0.5? .79 is not that bad. 0.79 is not that bad. If once you start getting below 0.5, then I'm really start to be like, dude, like, because what a lot of people will do is they'll take double, like it'll be like in the ES, risk 8 ticks to make 4. This is really common, by the way. I'm actually starting to wonder if there's more retail traders doing that than the other way around. But I digress. You have to realize that if your strategy requires you to have a reward factor of less than 1, then the reason that strategy works is because you're taking on excess risk. Right? Chris says that's my... I can't recommend it. I'm not saying you can't make money that way, but the general thing that you're going to see happen is you're going to make money for a certain amount of time and then just blow out all of a sudden. Which means when it fails that one time, it fucking blows. Yeah. No, that's not true at all, Armin. I'm going to just go, at the end of the day, you have to see how much your account is up every month. If your account is growing month to month, that all it counts, because every traders can have a bad month and a good month. No, it doesn't matter. The amount that you made this month and the amount that you made next month and the amount that you made the month after that is completely irrelevant compared to how much did you make net over the past 2 years, right? You do all of that and you come out and you win 9 times, the month you make money 9 times out of 10. And then the very last month of the year, you blow the whole account. Then it doesn't fucking matter how much you made last month or the month before that. You still lost money. And that's what happens, is they create this strategy that works most of the time. And then they just kind of memory hole it when it falls apart and it blows the account. But that blowing the account matters more than the rest of it. Yeah, Douglas, you get lulled into the high win rate and getting the high from the gambling, but those ratios will kill you. Yes, exactly. It's easier to be consistent with a strategy where your winners are like 1.5, 2, 4, even 5, 10 times your losers. If you're able to like straight swing it, which means you have a large enough account and the time to hold it and everything, that you can swing trade where your average winner is 10 times your average loser. And you can actually, if you're really trading off of news and things like that, you can actually get pretty good win rates off of those too. It is a lot easier, more likely for you to be profitable, and for you to be profitable over long periods of time, like years. But then you start to run into a different issue, which is like, well, okay, then you have to start considering like, what would your performance be like if you just bought the S&P 500, and is all of the trading that you're doing actually either making you more money than if you just bought and hold, or reducing the drawdowns in your account. So Armin Shane says, let's put it this way: if you made money the last 10 months and you blow the account in the end, then you should not be trading at all. Well, you can say that, but I would say that probably 50% of traders that make it past a year, that's what happens to them. So there's like a certain percentage of people that just very quickly realize that trading is not for them and they give up. But then there is another percentage of them that they have some success, and so they make it a year or two, and they think they're doing well, and then it blows up in their face. And that's why you get this thing where it's like to last more than like 3 or 4 years, it's like 80% of people don't do it, right? Yeah. If you've never blown an account, are you really a trader? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you started an account with $1 million and you only ever traded one contract because you never got comfortable with it, then
Block by.
yes, blown how many times just did in June? Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. The bigger issue in futures is that most of us don't have a large enough account to really be trading it with the amount of leverage that we do. The number of people that are trading $500 accounts, and I shouldn't speak because I trade $500 accounts usually, right? But probably we should be trading $5,000 accounts with one micro contract, and I probably could have blown my old Forex account if FXCM didn't get kicked out of the country. Well, it looks like we're kind of slowing down here, so I'm going to take some more sequential profits again. I may just sit down and say that I recovered and made a decent profit, and it's time to just, yeah, $30. Armin says if you're trading futures with a $500 account, it's a matter of time that the account blows. Well, I'm not going to say that it's a matter of time. I mean, probably 90% of people, they're going to blow it though, yeah. But it can be done. Especially if you're with micro contracts, it can be done. But I really think, like, for me, the biggest problem that I've had is I will have a period of success, and I'll be like, I started with a $500 account and I built it up to $1,000, and then something will come along and I will start over trading that thing for whatever reason, because I'm like, it's news and this is a period where I can make money or whatever, and then I'll very, very quickly blow the account when I really should just like stop trading it, you know? And I seem to go along too far until I realize that I need to stop. That's why I went back and like I did a bunch of studies on this and stuff, so I kind of know a little bit better about when I need to stop myself and everything, but ugh. So then what happens is normally I'm trading and my risk reward is like 1.5 to 2. And then because of that, it'll become less than 1. Or I just end up with these really awful losing streaks. Now, I think we're starting to figure out how to deal with the losing streaks a little bit. I'm not as happy today with what we've done because I did 2 of these buys were kind of a little FOMO-y, and I really wish that I could have gotten in long down towards like the 87 area, but it worked out in the end. I'm also mad that I didn't start my sims because they're still long. They're still long, but you guys can't see them on the chart, and that's the whole thing that we're trying to do here. That's the one thing we're focused on, and I forgot to turn it on. You guys got to remember, like, first, whoever is the first person to say anything in chat, the first thing you should say is, did you turn on the robots? Well, okay, sure. Conversation comes in about trading NQ with $500 NQ. You will blow that account, I guaranteed. I agree. I totally agree. No, I miss this comment from Forever Real where he said, I've never been able to be a successful swing trader. I haven't been able to position day trade either. Well, it's harder. Well, so like, here's the thing. And this is where I think that so many people get trapped by it. Okay. If you, oh man, how do I explain this? How should I go about explaining this? I'm gonna just try drawing a picture. Okay. I'm gonna minimize this and I'm gonna draw it down in this space right here. So here's our win-loss ratio thing, right? So here is so like if our risk reward is equal, okay, which means our risk reward is 1. And then these are the ones that are less than 1, and these are the ones that are greater than 1. Okay. So this is your curve essentially. So all of this right here are profitable trades, right? And I have a video about where I talk about this, okay? Where I talk about the risk reward and win rate and all that stuff. Oh, by the way, I don't know if we're actually going to get it, but if I get 16, I'm supposed to take the profits. So, oh, look at that. Hit me. Not quite. Okay, these are all winning trades, right? These are all losing trades, all right? Now, there are some trades in this area. Sorry. There are trades in this area right here. Okay. That aren't profitable. But in order to see that they lie here and not over here, it could take months or years to do it. Okay. Furthermore, the trades that fit over here are easier to run across Okay, like if you just take the average retail trader and you sit them in front of a computer and they watch for a month, and then you tell them, okay, based off of what you've seen and having no other education, you're going to pick a strategy. And then you're going to trade that strategy for the next month and see how it works. And I would bet you that probably 70% of the people would pick a strategy that ends up being in this area that I kind of colored in over here, right? Because people's tendency is going to be to look for things that happen, that seem to have some probability of predicting the future. And they want to be right more than they're wrong. And so their tendency is going to be to pick strategies that have a high win rate and a low reward factor, right? Whereas these ones out here, they don't pop out to people as well. You really have to like back test something or trade it for a really long time to really realize that the trade down here can actually work. And the further along this line that you get, the easier it is to find one that is actually above the line versus below the line. Just because of the way that the reward factor ends up working. Does that make sense? Why was I getting into that? Well, anyways, I made the point that I was trying to make. I don't remember why that was, what that prompted that for me to say that, but Greg, TN is what again? Treasury? I have no mojo for treasury. Yes, 10-year treasury. I don't know. Like, how can you watch? I have to wonder, Ace. You were here the whole time I took this long in the 10-year treasury. And you don't look at that and say, oh, look, he made $250 and he barely had to do anything. And that doesn't appeal to you, huh? And by the way, oh, look, it got me out. Okay, cool. By the way, this is like the fourth or fifth trade in the 10-year over the past 2 or 3 weeks I've caught that, or I've caught one. Oh, yeah, I guess. He says, I'm sorry, I can never tell when you're in a trade. So pay attention. Look at the screen. Look at the screen. Do you see I have these 2 columns here to the left that don't have anything in them? Those are the trade columns. Okay. Now look over here on the one on the far left. You can see there's these numbers there. That number tells you I'm in a trade and how much money I make at each spot. Yep, the dark blue. Yep. So that's basically what I would look for, is numbers in here, numbers in this column, telling you how much I make or lose at each price. Yeah, the tiny barely lit up numbers. Yeah. But over here in the 10-year, they're a lot bigger. And if you go back and watch the video, you'll see that it was like, oh yes, at 22, he makes $250. How to tell which direction. So if I am, so if it's blue, that means I'm making money. If it's red, that means I'm losing money, right? So you can see here's my break-even spot way back here at 37.88 and a quarter. So the numbers below that are red and have negatives below them. So that basically can tell you which direction I've got. The other thing that you can look at is the blue, the 37.91 and 3/4. That's the average. That's my average price. And if I'm long, it'll be blue. And if I'm short, it will be red. I have the display down so low, so my war rig has all the computer powered. Yeah, I understand. But you don't see those at some point. I don't know. When are your robots going live money? I don't want in. Well, I don't know by what you mean by you say I don't want in, but so here's the thing with the robots. Is first of all, it's not very smart to trade it live right away. Right? If you've got a robot, you should really run it on sim for a couple of weeks, and if only to confirm that it actually works the way that you think it's going to. Because you've seen here, even with this test that we've been doing, remember we had like eight of these or whatever, 8 or 9 of these, and like over half of them got taken out. And it was because once we started trading, we started to realize some differences in what the back tested results showed us, and that revealed some errors in the way that we tested it. And then when we changed it, we found that they weren't profitable strategies, right? So you've got to put it through the Q&A process, and part of the Q&A process that I would do would be backtest it on the largest data set that you can handle, and then you run it against live data on a sim account for a certain period of time. And my intention is to do it for at least 2 weeks. Now, after that, if we really still feel confident about them that they will work when on live, then that opens up a whole can of worms for me, and then I'm not sure what I'm going to do about. So here's the thing. I use AMP, and essentially you can't really use NinjaTrader under a broker other than the NinjaTrader brokerage. That's just the way it is right now. So with the setup that I have right now, I could not trade my robots live. Okay. I can trade my AMP account live through through Jigsaw, but I'm really not confident about my manual trading strategy over in Jigsaw. I think I don't know. We did good today. We're doing better. I think that I've made some changes and that those changes appear to be working, but I still haven't been through, the crucible yet on it. So I think that needs a little bit more time on sim too. Anyways, you don't like Sierra? I really don't, to be honest with you. So like the things that I do, which is primarily like writing automated stuff and models that rely on order flow, is so much harder to do that in Sierra charts. It's like so much more work. It's just not worth it. Okay, so anyways, I have a couple of choices. So I have a key. I have a NinjaTrader key that I can use, and I could trade it and not have to pay the ridiculous commissions and all of that stuff. And all I would need to do to use that and live trade my automated strategies would be to move over to the NinjaTrader brokerage. So I could do that. The reason why I'm not just like, let's just go over, because honestly, it's not like the difference in commissions would really be different or significant for me or anything like that. But it's more that I really wanted to try out Edge Clear, and I've been, saving up a bunch to move it over to Edge Clear. And then it's like, I have to do it in Ninja. Okay, well, I don't know if I really want to do that, but maybe that's just the best way to do it. And then I could trade it on I could have them trade on micros. And you know what? If they continue to perform the way that they've been performing, I think that could be a really great setup. I'm not going to say that they're always going to do well. In fact, the way that they're set up, there's certainly supposed to be certain markets that they're not going to do well in. And there's also one of these trades that it's profitable overall, but I feel like it could be a lot more profitable than it is. And I'm just not sure what I can do to automate something that I can see myself. So that one needs work. Anyways, I digress. Option number 2 is I could run it on a combine. So I could go and do a Top Step Trader combine, and then that would allow me to use my NinjaTrader license as well. But yeah. First of all, if I do that, it's still like, well, if it works, why not trade it on your own live account? The number 2 thing is that for it to pass a combine, I think it would take multiple months still. What these things make isn't super great. It's still pretty modest. Every once in a while they catch something and they do really well, but on the average, I think that to with one micro contract, it would take a really long time to pass a combine. And with one full ES contract, I would be a little bit too close to the risk settings for that to work. So that's the can of worms. Oh, you guys have been so quiet while I've been doing that. I don't know if that means that you guys are really interested and you just want to hear me finish going through all of that, or if you've turned off and are like, well, we don't give a shit about what you do said. But Gary asked the question, and I think Gary is still there. That's the whole analysis of it. And so at the moment, I really don't know what I want to do. And I'm kind of avoiding really making up my mind, and I'm just kind of trying to watch how they trade and do my best on that and avoid having to make a decision for now, because I really just don't want to do anything. We was in here talking, you were ignorant. Well, oh, well, there are some questions further back here that are not about that. So with earn to trade, they are not going to pay you unless you make twice again. Yeah, it's like the whole thing is just stupid. To be honest, I know that there's a number of different companies, and they all kind of have their different things, and some of them definitely have better rules and more fair rules and this and that. But for whatever reason, Top Step Trader is the only one that I really actually trust them. Especially since there are so many of these combines that they literally, once you were funded, you weren't actually trading a live account, and it wasn't until people passed it and started doing it and said, oh, hey, my orders aren't actually touching the market, that they said to him, oh yeah, it's not, you will make money. If you make money, we'll still let you withdraw it, but you're still on sim for now. That just rubs me the wrong way, and I don't trust them. So really, Top Step is the only one that I really trust. And my understanding is that Top Step changed their rules, so you only have to pass it once, right? Let's go look. Oh, there is still a step 2. There's a step 2, and in step 2 they add a weekly loss limit, which shouldn't be too big of a deal. Yeah, I think it was Earn to Trade was the one that the founder of it was had a complaint lodged against him for a binary trading exchange that he set up in Israel. 2 steps to get nailed on. Yeah. Yeah, and especially for what they cost. So it's like, this is the other thing, is like, okay, $165 a month, and I have to make 3,000. And yeah, I might not make 3,000 in a month. If I'm only trading micros and I'm trading half, then I might make it to 1 or 2,000 in a month. So then I'm going to have to do 2 months. And then you have to do 2 more months after that to pass step 2, you know? And at that point, during that time, if I just saved $165 a month, that's just another $500 that I could put into a Ninja account. You know what I mean? So even though I think maybe one of the reasons why I think about the Combine is because I still think that it would be cool to be able to say, well, look, here I wrote something that passes the Combine. Don't forget the resets, yeah. I think it would be really cool to have a robot that passes the Combine and then make it available. I know some people who paid over $1,500 and still don't have a live account. It's just better to save that money and open your live. I totally, that's how I feel about it. Well, that's where I'm saying it's like the thing I've always said about the Combine is that if you know you're really going to pass, you really have solid performance and data that says you're going to pass, then you could probably make more money from doing the Combine than from trading your own account. But the reality is that there's very few people that are going to do that because the profit targets and everything are really kind of unrealistic. They require you to take on a lot of risk in order to get that. And so you're just liable to eventually blow the account. That's why so many of these people lose their accounts. It's just... So maybe a Combine doesn't make sense. Not for $165 a month, at least. Chris says, for me, I opened a Combine to get a taste of having real risk. I'm glad I didn't fund my own account. I don't know. And that's where it's like, okay, so like trade a live account and just say, if I lose $165 on that month, then I'll stop. You know, that's kind of... Now, well, I do kind of have to wonder, Ninja Trader, minimum account. I mean, I think that they reduced their minimum account balance and everything, right? So I guess I could move over to Ninja Trader as soon as I wanted to. In fact, maybe when I did the last, because I let the account draw down and then put more in it, and maybe I should have used that as an opportunity to just move over to Ninja Trader brokerage. I don't know. Let's see here. Man, their minimum starting account balance is 400, which we could do. Fact. Oh, it's the 13th. Yeah. I have a question. If you have a winning strategy, why would you want to trade a Combine and not your own account? Is it specifically catered to underfunded traders? Well, yeah, that's exactly why. So the reason that you would want to do a Combine is that you would be able to trade a larger account with a Combine than you would be able to fund yourself. You know, like if the difference is between starting a minimum $400 account versus, you know, doing a combine where they allow you to trade up to 4 contracts or whatever, yeah, you can make more money on the combine. And some of these guys, you know, like I was saying, if you're doing like a risk arbitrage strategy with a high win rate, some of these guys get away with it for a long time, you know. I think the problem is that they buy their own BS, and so they keep going until they just blow the account, and that's why we've seen some of these guys blow their accounts over and over again. But hey, I've kind of wondered, why not find an R less than 1 strategy and have it trade on a combine and let it go for 6 months, and then when the next crazy time period comes along, like, you just turn it off, you know, and you make what you make with it, and you don't have to keep trading it forever, but just, you know, let it make a couple tens of thousands of dollars, and then, you know what I mean? Like, we could try gaming the high win rate, low reward factor strategy, and you do that by taking advantage of a combine. You hear horror stories about trying to get your money. Well, that's why, again, I'm saying that, like, Top Step is the only one that I really trust for that sort of a thing. I traded the gauntlet because I blew out my account and proved to myself that I could beat it twice. Fees kill a good strategy in combine. So the back testing and everything that I've been doing has been with all of that included. So I'm pretty satisfied on that particular issue. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make a ton, but you can have it trade, and I'd be happy with it. The thing is I don't necessarily... If I was going to do the low R strategy, I would definitely need to make a new strategy. Oh, let me think about it. I'm going to go back through my older strategies and see, okay, what is one that it would maybe work for an R less than 1? Here's the problem. Most people think they're getting a 100K account, but they are not. It's just a phantom. The account is only 3K if you hit 3K last year. Yeah, sure. Another thing that I could do is I could do a risk arbitrage swing. So, like, can we unban Blunt 420? Oh, man, I know, I'm pretty sure I know who that was, and yeah. Let me come and look. Yeah. I'm trying to remember what this specific issue was over, but that guy came in and was specifically trying to piss me off. It's the top of the hour. I should have taken that off. You know what? I'm so dumb. I'm just gonna take it there. I was looking at it up there and I was like, okay, probably next big move down. I need to take it off, and now it's back to the ATR stop, and I'm taking it off there. This is probably not a great exit, but that was further than I wanted it to get. In fact, probably I should have taken it off at 60 just period. So that was a mistake. Maybe an alternative would be the micros. At least you get to feel cash in motion and work through that. My hardest struggle. Yeah. Well, the more that I'm thinking about this here with you guys, the more I'm leaning towards just moving over to the Ninja Trader brokerage. I don't know. I really like it's so it makes me kind of angry. So like the thing is that there's stuff that I want to do with you guys over on Edge Clear. Because I think that we could combine, especially, those of us that are here every day. Like if I was able to get myself, Ace, Gary, Uzi, and we were all on Edge Clear in the same, like in a group together, then we would eventually hit the threshold where we would get the reduced commissions, and, we would be able to keep going. And then we could add other people. And then the thing that I would think I would really like to do with that is at some point expand it so that, we have risk managers, essentially. Give you a risk manager. I think that'd be awesome. I think that would help me so much. But I want to do the automated trading too much too. Seth got the best entry today. Well, in the treasuries, I did. I don't know. Thinking back on it, almost every trade that I've taken today, even though some of them turned out, there was something about how I got in that I was unhappy about. There was a lot of these where I was too late. Okay, now somebody asked a question earlier that I really needed to answer, but I forget what it was. It was way back here. I don't even know if they're still here, but... Oh, geez, what was it? Yeah. This was all talking about the combines. And what was it? What were they asking? It was like a real question, and I just like was on something else, and it was like something that we really should have talked about. I can't even see it anymore. Maybe they deleted it or something. I don't know. If you asked me a question earlier and I didn't answer it, now's the time to ask. Listening to serial killer. What is that? Is that a podcast about serial killers? How many did you take? Are you asking me how many trades I took? There was there in the. So the issue here was with this one right here. See how the fills was 17? Oh gosh, so dumb. Because what happened was I wanted to take 3, and I wanted to have 2 to run and 1 to work the position out, and then it ended up going into the stop, and I took on more to fix that little issue, and that was bad. That's one of those trades that like I'll mess around with it on this sim account, because I'll say to myself, like, it should be like this. It should be like the way that it really would be. But the reality is that if that had happened in real life, that would have just been a -20, and I would have had to have moved on, you know? Are you morphing into a No. I really don't recommend it. Like again, this is where it's like, okay, if I have a backtested strategy that has some established history, then yeah, trading the combine maybe makes sense. But I am really starting to lean towards that it's not profitable enough to really make sense doing the combine on it. And we could just move over to NinjaTrader, and honestly, if we just moved over to NinjaTrader, it would solve a few issues. So as long as I can go over there and I can use rhythmic data, anyways. It's still, the edge clear thing is just and then there's that other thing where it's like, if you have 2 accounts, then you have to pay the professional fee. Oh, I hate that. I hate that. And we have to be careful, because we might have to like go a few days without an account, right? I don't know what we'll do then, but so that's about to turn. No. We're talking about strategies that maybe will make a few $100s a month. I watched your Christmas video last night. You did a great job on the indicators. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that video was good, because I don't necessarily, I'm not pushing it really hard, and I don't really expect a ton of people to go in and do the elite subscription. My hope is that we get like 10. But, you know, I wanted at least the explanation of what they do to be really good, because it took a lot of time to make. This other one that I want to put out in the next week or so on news too took a ton of research. Broke a rule and you lost the pro account. I don't know. I have never met anybody that has done the combine and passed it, and then they kept the combine and traded it for like 2 years and were successful for this huge amount of time. In fact, I kind of don't believe it exists, because you will have people will come and be on like their YouTube channel, you know, and they'll talk to them and stuff, and they're like, it's always different people. So I think that the case is that they'll get somebody that comes in and does really well for some time and withdraws some money, and then they lose that account and that switches around, you know. I don't think that the combine lends itself to long-term profitability. So do you sell your robots or do you train traders? No. So at some point, maybe we would give away a robot. I don't know. That's what I was saying. Like, maybe I will make one that works. Maybe we should design something specifically to risk arbitrage its way into the combine and get into the combine and then turn around and sell it. Yeah. And then we can come in, we can have all of this video of it trading, and we can say like, okay, like here's what it's going to do. You'll lose money doing it, but you probably could get into a combine with it. And if that worked, if it actually worked, it got into the combine, it passed it, and we withdrew money with it, and then gave it away for free so that anybody else could use it and try and put it on a combine, that could cause some chaos, and I think it would be fun to watch. So now the more that I think about that, the more that I'm like, yeah, we should do that. So what do you guys think? What if we're going to do a strategy that is specifically tailored to winning the combine and is going to use a risk reward of 0.5 around about there? What kind of strategy do you think we should go for? What kind of a setup can we think of that we got that might work for that? That'll be good because I've kind of run out of ideas on my own algorithms. I feel like I'm a little too focused on just the ones that I'm working on right now. So I haven't done a lot of programming on that lately. And so doing this other thing might send me down the rabbit hole on a couple of things I think would be fun. I wonder if I can get one that just works on R. That would be cool. ES day swing from the open. Well, yeah, so that was the other thing is I was going to say is what if we made one that it's like the average winner is $100 and the average loser is $200. So you get, that would be fun because usually when these guys are doing these ones with the low reward factor, they're doing really super tiny trades. Maybe some momentum play. Yeah, that's not a bad thought. Well, so I have two based off of slip. Well, that slip one wouldn't work because it doesn't take trades often enough. But I found some stuff with Bollinger Bands, and I'm betting that if I used risk reward of 0.5, that I could get those to take it, and probably it would take enough trades that you'd be able to pass the combine. I'd have to go and look at that. So like that's the thing that I think would make it qualified is that if you only trade one contract, you will reach the profit target every month in the back test, at least. I think that should be the goal. Oh yeah. So to Gary, to your earlier question about unbanning that guy, you're gonna have to like message me on Discord later about it because I was like really mad at him. So you're gonna have to convince me that he's for real and that he's not gonna try and cause trouble. Because he like immediately came in and started saying shit that triggered the warning flags. And then after I banned him in here, he decided to come into Discord and start doing shit in Discord. Yeah, but what you never do the thing that truly pisses me off, right? Because the thing that truly pisses me off is when people say things that or try to say things that's like, oh, you will make all of this money if you just do X, Y, and Z. And I know that X, Y, and Z are things that don't make money. Or at least you say something that gives me enough suspicion that you're trying to pull a fast one on people. And that's what he was doing. That's why I got mad at him. I don't remember the specific issue, though. Wow, you've been trading since 2002, but profitable for only 3 years. You've spoken to him and he isn't a troll, but then why... what was it that even... I got deleted. Like, I deleted all the messages, so I can't even remember why. So, how well do you know this guy? How do you know him? Well, look, so I'm not even sure when I come in here. I'm not even 100% sure how to do it on YouTube, to be honest with you. We've never done that. Oh, okay, there it is. Oh my gosh. Now that I can see these people. I can go through and I can look at these people that we've had to ban multiple times and how many times they've done it. It's funny. Okay. I unbanned him on YouTube. So if he comes back here on YouTube and behaves himself, then I'll unban him on Discord, okay? Futures Magazine at the doctor's office, and I got started. Oh, that reminds me. Today is probably a good day to try and search the academic journals. Let's go look. Quantitative finance. And under market microstructure, what do we got? Ooh, new submissions for 13th of January. Financial disclosure analysis and knowledge extraction. That's it, huh? Recent. Adversarial trading. Ooh, this is pertinent to my interests right there. How to identify investor types in real financial markets by means of agent-based simulation. Wait, what? This is why you guys should do this shit. Like, it's... I don't know how to get to it, but there's this quantitative finance. Basically, it shows you all of the scholarly articles in the quantitative finance space, and it gives you stuff. Market making with stochastic liquidity demand, simultaneous order arrival, and price change forecasts. Price change forecasts, that's interesting. This one is probably, I should wait for later when I'm done with my book. A Bayesian perspective on the microstructure of the price formation. This is also something I've been wanting to look at. Bayesian stuff. That was a thing that I wanted to research, and like I didn't find anything directly in the retail space about that. And now we get that. That's like interesting to me. Optimal trading without optimal control. Took 19 years. Well, so can I ask for a real, is there like a particular indicator or strategy that you can be very vague about, but that we can say was the basis of your trading? Oh, you know what? I could probably do it with the freaking... Ooh. There was this one algorithm that John and myself made that could work. The Soren strat. That we could maybe get away with that one, because that is one that was based on somebody that was doing exactly something like that. Like, we went through it and I backtested it and I'm like, oh, it doesn't really work. And then I found out that, oh, he has the large stop. It's like, crap. But he was somebody that had made big money. In fact, this guy had bought the dip on the oil thing and was making huge bank on it. Like there was like that, hundreds of thousands of dollars kind of account size sort of a thing, and that's what he was pulling out. I had a work buddy that would trade stocks on his computer. I was stunned he didn't need to call his broker. Have you ever done a strategy based on the super trend indicator? So I've done it off of similar things, but not super trend specifically. I don't think, at least. Is that in? Hold on here. Oh, no, actually, it would be over here. So if I come into my Bollinger Bands, this is the way that I've been doing these mid bands, smoothing. Super trend is not one of those, so I guess I haven't. Now, I have the lizard indicators. So we could go and I don't even know if I have it installed. Let's go look. Log in. Why am I not logged in? Try our premium indicators. I'll just go to all indicators. I've been trying to find, if you know of it, so I'm interested in anything that has to do with the rotation. Like something that basically it says that based on the rotation that we've been having, that you should buy it here, and that's all it's doing. And we did that with this 4-year series analysis, and that one seems to work pretty well when I combine it with certain other things. But I would like to see alternatives to it, you know? So there you go. Super trend M11 and U11. You're probably not going to like it, but I use cup formations coupled with a momentum indicator and short-term support resistance levels. Uses the U11 is, oh yeah, see there, he's saying it. Greg says U11. Okay, we'll download the U11 one and we'll test it. All right. What should we call today's video? Markets rally as inflation data is in line. So that gives me two things to look at. We got to look at support and resistance. That's over here, they've got a bunch of things that are like support and resistance. Although the interesting thing to me is that from the stuff that I've read that they've said in here, these things like, fibs and stuff like that is really more like they want you should be careful about getting in when you're close to those, because those are like targets and not entries and stuff like that. Anyways. All right, guys. I was wrong about my support for Donald Trump. Well, I'm not. Here's the thing, is that I'm not necessarily displeased about how this is all working out. Is that an awful thing to say? But like, if I have certain policy goals, I thought that he proved those policy goals pretty well, and that they will continue to be forces in the political discourse for some time to come, even without him around. And I'm really concerned about the whole Republican Party thing, but I'm sure that it will resolve itself at some point. And to be quite frank, I am really upset with Republicans over the past few years, and maybe just blowing up the whole party was the thing that needed to happen anyways. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I regret nothing. I regret nothing. Okay. Stay profitable, friends.